This week we are talking about Japanese kits, vintage Japanese kits, right? This is a Japanese kit. What is this kit?
This is a Japanese kit.
Okay. Good guess. We completely planned it. All right. How do you know it's a Japanese kit? It's a blackjack kit. So is there any kind of history to that brand?
Well, I'll start with your first question. Okay. So, how do you identify a Japanese kit? Sometimes it can be kind of hard because this is a kit, and I'll kind of circle back on this, that was made by Star.
Okay. Is that the Tama, pre-Tama?
Yeah. And they kind of known for copying Japanese Stencil brands in general were known for copying American parts and American companies. So, if you see this, maybe you're on Facebook Marketplace or you're on Craigslist or you're on eBay and there's like a blurry picture, sometimes it's hard to tell what it is because, this looks exactly like a Slingerland lug, pretty much, close. This wrap, Slingerland made this. This was called Blue Agate. It was also made by Rogers. So okay. It can be kind of hard to tell. And there's some giveaways. If you look at the hardware, like this was a mount that was never offered by Rogers or Slingerland. Same thing with this. So you kind of peek at the hardware right off.
About the tom bracket is different?
Yeah. And you can actually see, it says made, you can't see it there, but it says made in Japan on there.
Okay. See, I would have guessed this is a Yamaha kit.
Really? Why?
The rectangle badge for some reason, and just the look of it. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's kind of, I've gotten to the point where I can just, see it pretty quick because you see enough of them.
Yeah.
But another kind of feature, and we'll kind of circle back on this, is the shell makeup. So this drum came with this kit. It's a 13-inch. The bottom reinforcement ring is pretty jacked up, so we're not going to include it with.
That's not worth a repair, right?
No, it's not. It's one of those things like this is a 2012-14 kit with a snare. So maybe somebody would use a 13, but it's kind of like the classic configuration.
Yeah.
But getting back to the shell, this is a thin Luan shell. And when I say thin, you can press in on the like a lot of the spurs on these kits here. They'll sometimes will put reinforcement wood behind it because you can literally they're that thin.
Are those feet original? Those white weird rubber feet on the spurs?
I don't know. It's a good question.
It's seems strange that they would throw a piece of white rubber on a kit that has.
I always wonder about rubber tip feet and stuff. Were they not on carpets back then?
Yeah. Maybe not. Just wood floors, gymnasiums. Who knows?
If you're at a gig now, as you bring everybody got a carpet. Is there a carpet there? Right.
Steal it from the door. Whatever you got to do.
But it doesn't work on carpet. I've always wondered that.
It does look. That would be. We'll get to this, but a point of concern would be if that shell's cracked there, because that sucker's floating on the spur. Right?
They're really. To be 100%, it's almost like firewood.
Yeah.
It's not good wood. But they put reinforcement rings in here, and I wish you could see this. Maybe you can, but that's how bad the wood is on these. You see how that split there?
Yeah.
And you see on the other side, you see this in the camera there. You see how they have
that an extra layer of it.
Yeah.
Wow. Quite interesting. And what is that? Someone tried to. You said it had tape on the bottom.
Oh yeah. So what I'd like to do when we're doing these, Mike, is maybe a lot of people will ask, what's the story with the kit?
Mm.
And I never really know what that means, but maybe we can take some time when we do these sections and kind of give a story behind the kit. Not that there's anything crazy with this. We bought it. And it was in pretty good shape. We didn't clean it up at all, but the toms were all missing bottom heads. And somebody had put blue electrical tape on the bottom.
Okay.
Which was common back in the day, kind of like the dead AM radio, Don Henley type sound.
Right.
But all the drums are in round, and the nice part is they all came with the original tension rods. Now, that might not be a big deal if it was an American kit, but they use a different thread.
Oh, no kidding.
Right. So You know, we've had kits come in without bottom heads on it, and then you're going through your tension rod drawer and you like want to bash your skull.
What are they, metric? I mean, what's the difference?
Probably. I know that they like just don't, you know, American style doesn't work. So sometimes you have to go in, you have to take out the lug insert or the swivel nut, you whatever want to call it.
Yeah.
And that's just the whole thing. So they came, all of them were still in here. So really all it took was just swapping out the bottom heads and hoops and tuning them up. But
so this is an example of a stencil kit, right?
Yeah. And I'm glad they actually brought it up. So there's a guy's name's Mark Patch. And Mark, if you're watching this, thank you for doing this book, because he wrote this book called Vintage Stencil Drums. And I think I got it. It was pretty cheap. I can't remember where I got it from, but it literally, and you can't see this, but if you open this, it catalogs the 3 different factories that stencil drums were made, the history, what they came on to be. I even think it goes through like all the like different brand names. So this is a Star kit. I think this is a Star kit. I sound like an idiot if it's not.
So what were the factories? Pearl, Yamaha, and Tama?
So there was, hold on. I'm glad.
Come on, I'm quizzing you here.
I'm glad I'm prepared for this.
He's got his cliff notes.
Yeah, so here it is. Let's see here. Where is it? Where was I here? I was looking at this earlier. There's a kit. There's a stencil called Karen.
Karen.
A Karen stencil.
You've got to find a Karen kit.
Oh, this stencil is probably asking for a refund for their dinner.
You've got to find a Karen.
Where did it go? Here it is. Blackjack. Yes, Star.
What finishes did the Karen kits come in?
They came in, talked to my manager.
Oh, my.
Yeah, here it is. All right, so there's, I don't know if you can see this, but there's the B's, and there is, see, Beltone, I've never heard that. Bentone?
Okay.
Blackjack. Bolero, I've heard of. There's actually two, look, there's Bolero with 1 L.
2 L's, 3 L's, 4 L's.
Yeah, there's literally like so many of them.
CB700 is considered a stencil kit.
Yeah.
Wild, because I just thought that was the beginner kit. Same thing with Royce. That was another one that just everyone had a Royce.
Everybody had a Royce kit. Royce was, I think, probably later on, because like they're kind of boring looking kits.
Yeah.
Like this has the, you know, the psychedelic style, kind of wild looking wrap, if you will.
Crazy. So why would I want to buy this kit? I did just play it, and it sounds super fat. So it does something that I couldn't get from like a pristine maple kit, I don't think, right away. But it's also limited. So who would want this kit, and why get it?
So, I mean, I think really that's honestly like a good question. I think with some of the guys who grew up in the 70s and have been collectors and have been playing for years, like they look at these kits and they're like, that's trash. Because like, you know, they grew up and they were, you know, watching these come out new. And, but, you know, for, you know, my generation, you know, this is a kit that's 50 years old.
Yeah.
And
No
it
matter
has...
what, yeah.
I hate, you know, it has a vibe, you know,
Yeah.
but it does. So I think if you're a person who maybe is on a budget, so like this kit will cost you $600. The shell pack, the snare, which, I mean, is still a lot of money, but compared to like getting a new...
If this was, what'd you say had the same finish?
Slingerland.
So if
Slingerland and Rogers, yeah.
a Rogers same setup would be twice as much? Probably.
A lot, yeah. So if you're on a budget and don't want to spend a lot of money, or you want like, I've heard, and I don't deal with a lot of, or I don't just know personally a lot of recording people, or producers, but from what I understand that this is like a, you know, a popular sound now, especially in the country scene.
It sounded to me like it would record well because it just hits and gets out of the way, and there's not a lot of overtone.
Right. And I think too, like with the pandemic, there's a lot of people who might have invested money in recording equipment. And if you want a kit to like set up in the corner, you know, take the bottom heads off. Did you show them the inside of that? So it's got the original head on it. What a lot of people would do back in the day is they would put a piece of fabric behind there. And I won't hit it on camera, but it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds like the 70s.
Yeah.
Sounds like
so
you're
if
playing.
you want that like AM, like 70s style, so you can even hear this ring popping, this would be a really good fit for you. If you are touring, like, and you want to tour with something like this, like Aaron Sterling did a John Mayer tour with one of these kits. I don't know what he used for hardware, but you can just throw on like a pair of DW clamp-on spurs, take
Yep.
those ones off, and you're pretty much set.
So what is the things to look for that might be a problem with this?
Things to look for. Broken lugs. What I'll say about American lugs is that they're definitely better made. They're definitely better made.
Edumacated.
Yeah. Can you tell that I got my grade 7 in high school? The whatever you want to call it, the part where the lug goes in the shell, that will sometimes pop and crack. But these are all fine, so you want to watch that. If you're buying one of these, definitely check out like the inside of the spurs and the inside of the shell where the spurs go in. It's really common for there to be movement. It's just kind of the way the shell is. But like I've had drums come in and there's literally like a hole, like a big gaping hole where the spur was. Wonder what happened there, the spurs. Also make sure if it's missing any tension rods, you can find replacements, or you have swivel nuts that can go in there with tension rods to make it functional. What else?
Snare drums. I mean, you can't expect it to be a jazz festival, right?
No. To be 100% honest, the snare drums are probably the worst.
So it's got, I mean, it looks...
It's an 8-lug.
It looks cool.
It does look cool. It's 8 lugs.
Again, it has a ratty thing that I couldn't get from a new super high-end drum.
Yeah, so it does have a tone controller, muffler, whatever you want to call it, in there. So, but it's not... You're not going to get a wide range of sounds out of this.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like a throw-in, you know. One other thing that's cool with the kit is, I think it says blackjack here, and again, you probably can't see this, but it usually says World Supreme Quality on there, but it doesn't, which is another kind of weird.
It's like they didn't finish the badges. It's a cool
Maybe
kit,
it was
though.
a Friday.
Hey. All right, so what else do we need to know about vintage Stencil kits? I think they're cool. I mean...
One kind of weird thing about them is you don't see a lot of big bass drums. Like occasionally you'll see a 24, but not a lot. It's usually a 22 or a 20. So not like, I don't think I've ever seen a 26.
18s?
There are some 18s there, which are I think, I don't know,
seen that.
which are pretty cool. They also made like kids kits. So like little 16-inch bass drums, like a little 8 or 10-inch tom, and a little snare drum, which are kind of neat. But if you're looking for like a big, kit, this probably wouldn't be the best option for you. Also, it doesn't really matter what the brand is. I definitely don't like clip mounts.
Yeah.
They kind of just
Dead.
we had a New Yorker, a Ludwig New Yorker in, and it had a rail with a spade mount, and it was a doom.
Yeah.
And then when you put it on a stand, it was like a completely different drum. So I don't really like using center mounts for Japanese drums either. I think it kind of kills the tone.
That's something I understand. No one tested it. Like, cool, we're going to try this. Oh, it makes the drum sound really bad. Let's go ahead and make them.
Roll it. Let's roll with it. The crazy part is, like, not to get off track, but Ludwigs with rails are worth more than ones with center mounts. But they're like, you got to get the wrench out.
Yeah.
You got to do this thing here. You got to do that thing there. You put it on. It's not in the right spot. You got to take it
all
off.
over again.
Right.
It's slightly rusty.
Not great.
Not great. This is a great kit. So that's Japanese Stencil brand Blackjack.
Blackjack.
I'm sure we'll come across a few more of these before we're done. Dig it.